교실의 벽을 뛰어넘는 학교 만들기라는 세션 제목이 매우 흥미로워서 참여 신청하신 거 맞으시죠? 그 세션의 제목을 정하고 전체적인 이제 흐름을 기획하면서 3가지 정도의 메시지를 생각해 보았습니다. 그 세션 제목에도 나타났듯이 사실 교육의 문제라는 게 교실의 벽이라는 걸 현재 우리가 극복해야 될 교육의 어떤 문제라고 보고 그것을 뛰어넘는 어떤 교육의 변화 방향이 무엇인가라는 첫 번째 질문에 그 대답을 듣고 가셔야 되는 거고요. 교육의 변화를 얘기할 때마다 우리가 항상 중심에 두는 그 학습자, 그들이 과연 누구인가라는 그 질문에 역시 그 대답을 오늘 듣고 가셔야 되는 거고, 세 번째, 교육의 변화를 굉장히 많은 사람들은 얘기하지만 그걸 구체적으로 실천할 수 있는 어떤 전략, 원리, 이 정도는 또 이번 세션에서 반드시 가져가셔야 될 대답이 아닐까 싶습니다. 그래서 이런 3가지 메시지를 담아서 본 세션을 이제 운영하려고 합니다. 오늘 2분의 발표자와 그리고 2분의 토론자를 모셨습니다. 먼저 발표자를 소개해 드릴 텐데요. 현재 Anytime, Anywhere Learning Foundation의 설립자이자 현재 회장이신 브루스 딕션을 소개해 드리겠습니다. 잠시, please, I introduce you and 브루스 딕션은 교육자로서의 경험과 교육용 소프트웨어 개발 경험까지 가지고 계셔서요. 굉장히 오랫동안 교육 분야에서 일을 하고 계셨고 미국, 호주, 캐나다, 유럽, 아시아 등의 교육부 및 기업을 현재 대상으로 교육 관련 컨설팅도 하고 계십니다. 말씀드렸듯이 어떤 추상적인 교육의 변화 이렇게 돼야 된다라는 측면이 아니라 아주 구체적인 원리와 전략에 대해서 말씀을 해주실 걸로 기대를 해봅니다. 다음으로 IVECA의 International Virtual Schooling의 설립자이자 현재 대표로 또 맡고 계시는 정은희 박사 소개해드리겠습니다. 정은희 대표는 버지니아 대학에서 교육공학 박사를 취득하시고 한국에서 초등학교 교사로서도 근무 경험을 가지고 계십니다. 정은희 박사 역시 여기 참석하신 분들이 기대하시는 어떤 구체적인 국제교류 사례에 기반한 교육의 변화 가능성을 제시해 줄 거라고 기대해 봅니다. 발표에 대한 2분의 토론자를 소개해 드리겠습니다. 현재 경인교육대학교 컴퓨터교육과에 계시는 이재호 교수님이십니다. 컴퓨터 사이언스로 박사를 취득하셨고 정보통신기술과 교육의 어떤 융합 전도사라고 제가 이름을 붙였는데 마음에 드세요, 교수님? 예. 다음은 마지막으로 평생교육진흥원 전국학부모지원센터와 중앙 다문화교육센터를 맡고 계신 백운순 박사님이십니다. 네. 교육학 박사이시면서 평생을 다문화교육과 평생교육에 몸을 담고 계신 평생교육자라고 하실 수 있으십니다. 예. 제가 인트로가 좀 길었습니다. 이제 첫 번째 순서로 우리 브루스 딕션 얘기하는 Freedom to Run에 대한 이야기를 들어보겠습니다. 큰 박수로 맞아주시기 바랍니다.
Thank you very much, and it's a privilege to be back here in Korea, in Seoul. This is my 5th visit, so I feel like I'm becoming a little bit of a regular. I love your country, and I love the warmth with which everyone's welcomed us to this event. I'm very fortunate that I'm able to spend a lot of my time looking at what other people do. And in my role as a co-founder of the Anytime Anywhere Learning Foundation and in some other work that I do, I've been able to observe, learn from the experiences in many, many countries over the past several decades. So today I want to take a look at what the impact for young people is when they're working in a technology-rich environment. Now, what do I mean by technology-rich? Well, to many people, we here today are in a technology-rich environment. All of you have technology with you, some sort of a smartphone. Many of you have tablets, some of you have laptops. In many parts of the world, today, young people as young as 5 and 6 years of age, but certainly many from the ages of 10, through their schooling have access to their own fully functional personal portable computer. In some terms it's referred to as one-to-one. That is, every child has access to their own computer 24/7 while they're at school and while they're at home. Now, that isn't the case in many parts of Korea, but it will soon be in some form as it's becoming very prevalent in many other countries. Week before last, I was in Mexico, and in Mexico, next year, 5 million young students in grade 10 and 11-year-old students will actually have their own fully functional personal portable computer. In Turkey, 18 million students potentially are going to get their computer. And in my own country, just under 1.3 million students, pretty much every student in high school in Australia has their own computer laptop while they're at school. In addition, another 200,000 students in elementary or primary school have that access. So the challenge we have is, what does that mean? What are the expectations that this sets up for us when every child is learning in a technology-rich environment? What does that actually have to do with the Global HR Forum? What's rather interesting about the sessions, and there have been exceptional sessions that we've had over the past day and a half, is that there's been obviously a lot of discussion about the work environment and preparedness for work, about vocational education, about university and college education, but not a lot of discussion about K-12. And it's that I want to talk about today. Because I think that, unfortunately, we take a lot for granted about that education system, and I think we make some unfortunate assumptions about what's acceptable for young people in the 13 years that they're within the primary or elementary and secondary school system. So I think it's important that we challenge ourselves today and beyond to start rethinking what technology will make possible for young people. And you have to start with the first question that I'd ask you, and if this was a workshop, I'd take the feedback from the floor, because when people talk about being in a technology-rich environment, and I'm not just talking about scheduled access to a computer lab once or twice a week, I'm talking about continuous access to your own computer, laptop in a classroom. What expectations would you have for what that makes possible for those learners? When I ask teachers about this, they give me various bits of feedback. But in many ways, very few of us are prepared for the answer to this question. Sometimes people will say, well, they'll be doing PowerPoints or word processing or accessing the web, exploring the internet and things like that. But it so much underrates what is now possible for young people. And so that the second question that must be considered is, what expectations do students have of what technology richness makes possible for them? And the answer is probably best typified by this photo, and I'm sure one of two people in this room will know the gentleman on stage, Mr. Bieber, Justin Bieber. I'm sure he's just as well known here as he seems to be all around the world. What's interesting about that photo that was taken in Sydney, ironically, in October last year, is that they are several hundred 9- and 10-year-old girls. They got up for an early morning television show, and they're not taking photos with a camera, they're taking photos with a phone. They're not taking photos with a phone, most of them are taking videos with the phone. They're not just taking videos with the phone, they're taking videos and photos and they're going to send them to friends across the country and potentially around the world. And the big point? Nobody taught them how to do it. They didn't go to a class and someone said, today we're going to do videos on a phone and then we're going to talk about how we send them. They taught themselves or from their peers. Now wind that back 7 years ago. Ask yourself 7 years ago, just 7 years ago, if you would have believed that 9 and 10-year-old young people would have the ability to work out how to take videos and send them around the world. It's just one very small example of how we underestimate what our young people are capable of. What's an interesting byline is you may or may not know that Mr. Bieber, himself a Canadian, is only now the enormous rock star that he is because of the internet. He, in fact, made himself a video, put it on YouTube, and it was a result of that popularity that actually gave him the popularity he has today. So the question becomes, you know, how are we going in terms of our estimation about what technology makes possible? Because the problem we have is that too often we overestimate in the short term what we think technology is possible, what we can do with technology, and we underestimate it in the long run. And do you think we're probably at the moment still overestimating it? Do you think we've got it about right? Or potentially do you think we're grossly underestimating it? Again, just have a think about that and potentially talk about it a bit later on. But I'd like to put a couple of propositions and ask a couple of questions to you for the rest of this session. Because I believe for decades we have been burdened by what I call a plague of low expectations. A plague of low expectations. I hope that translates well. Because our expectations of what we think technology makes possible has been really just mimicked or copied or substituted for what we've done with pen and paper. Now, anybody who knows the theories behind diffusions of innovation and whatever else realise this is a natural first step that we take. We always mimic the behaviour and then we extend it. I don't believe in our school system we've started to extend, let alone transform, the experience for our young people as a result of having access to technology while at school. And yet, outside school, where our students are learning is changing, when our students are learning is changing, and this is truly taking them beyond walls. This graph from John Bransford from the Learning Informal and Informal Learning Institute at the University of Washington clearly shows that we usually grossly underestimate the amount of time young people are actually involved in formal education at school. Now, I'm not including the work they do at home, but by and large, on average, it's 18 to 20% of their waking hours every year. That is a very small amount of time. So surely it is about time that we started thinking about making the most of that, what I call the blue sky of learning opportunity, all that space beyond the school walls. Because it's not just where and when our students are learning that's changing, but what they're learning is changing, and probably most profoundly and most importantly from a pedagogical perspective, how our students are learning is changing. Why is that happening? It's happening for a very simple reason, which I'll tell you about as soon as I get my glass of water. Because we have a unique convergence. This is unprecedented. This isn't something we've seen before, and this is something we have to take note of. Firstly, our students have access to almost unlimited emerging web technologies, which is another name for all those add-ons and apps that they can download and access. They're free of charge, they're easily installable, and they can make use of them almost instantly when they're in the school. So pretty much anything they have to do or need to do, they can find the software that will allow them to do it. Again, compare that to just 5 years ago. You're at school, you wanted to do something, someone had to put a formal purchase order in, they had to get a box of software, someone else had to install it. It's a very, very different world to the world that's available to them now. And it's not the technologies themselves that make the difference, but rather what they make possible. George Siemens, a very well-known professor at Athabasca University in Alberta, Canada, says it's the change underlying these tools that he's emphasising. Don't talk about blogs. think about open dialogue. Don't think of wikis, think about collaboration. Forget podcasts and think of democracy of voice. And don't think of RSS, but think of personal networks. Forget the tools, but think about, instead, the fundamental restructuring of how knowledge is created, disseminated, shared and validated. How much notice are we taking of this in our schools today? The second shift that we're now seeing is what I called earlier universal access or one-to-one. There is now ubiquity in the technology. Yes, at the moment it's still largely around, say, smartphones in Korea, but it's very quickly growing to be a range of devices, and it's shifting the way that our young peoples learn. But it isn't just enough to say, well, every child might have a laptop, because what would happen if every child did have a laptop and nothing changed? And I've got to say to you that I've been to a number of places where largely that's the case. That's the substitutive role that I talked about, where essentially instead of using a pen and paper, they're using a keyboard and screen to do exactly the same work. Nobody is thinking beyond that paradigm. It's probably best to reflect on this quote from Danny Hillis when he says, "The computer is not just an advanced calculator or camera or paintbrush. Rather, it is a device that accelerates and extends our processes of thought." And this is the essence, in the light of everything everyone's saying here at this conference about creativity and creative industries. It's an imagination machine which starts with the ideas we put into it and takes them farther than we could ever have taken them on our own. Indeed, the two designers, the two founders of the personal portable computer, the laptop, two gentlemen, the gentleman on the top, Professor Seymour Papert and Alan Kay, when they did this sketch in 1968, mind you, this wasn't done 30 years ago, this was done 50 years ago. In 1968, they didn't say, we are designing a computer that will be good for word processing and PowerPoint. They saw it as an instrument whose music is ideas. That's the core of what we're talking about at this conference. And rather than just be focused on what we can do in tertiary or higher education, we must surely be thinking about it in our young people from 3, 4, 5 years of age and making the most of the opportunity there. So the missing piece, of course, when we have the technology and we have the software or applications, is what I've called contemporary pedagogical insight. And this is the exciting piece. This is the exciting piece for every educator in the room. These are the places that we are now just exploring and discovering. I have a 25-year-old daughter who did a Masters at University of Western Australia. She's now an elementary school teacher in grade 1 and 2. And I told her this is the most challenging but the most exciting time to be a teacher, because all these ideas that we can explore as teachers from a pedagogical perspective are now open to us. And that's the work that I did, just to make quick reference to some work at a laboratory that I was the director of up until last year. For 4 years we set this up, called Ideas Lab, and it was exploring what was possible. So the trouble we have in our education too often is we look back. We look at our existing teaching practices and we layer the technology over the top of it. And if we're really, really lucky, we might use the I word. We integrate the technology and we don't instead think forward. And contemporary pedagogical insight, which is that missing piece, will only come from a better understanding of the realities of the modern learner's world and how they learn. So we have to look forward. We must look at the way our young people are living in the modern world and how that impacts on what they learn and the relevance that has to them. Because our modern learners, as we've heard repeatedly over the last day and a half, are social learners. They believe strongly in the values of relationships. Self-directed, self-disciplined learners is what we're looking for. They want to shape their own destiny. I heard the reference this morning in the last session I was in about locus of control, about being in charge, having responsibility for their learning. And they're inquiry-based. They're curious. So what does this manifest itself? It's moving from the me to the we. We are sharing ideas and information. That's the power of what the technology is bringing, and you know about that from the extraordinary growth of social media. The self-directed learner is moving from dependency to autonomy. And the inquiry-based learner doesn't want to have to walk into a classroom and just have information delivered to them in packets from a teacher. They want to move from the known to the unknown. Now, I'm not going to take you through all these principles, so I apologise here and now for this screen and two others where I've listed all the principles of contemporary learning. They'll be available to everybody in the room. On my presentation will be loaded up. If you want the information, you can get it from that slides or you can get it from our website. I just put it up there by way of reference because I think it also helps explain the points. But what we came up with were, under these three domains, the social learner, the self-directed learner and the lens of the inquiry-based learner, 12 principles, what we call 12 principles of contemporary learning. And it's on this basis that we should be moving forward in the way we're rethinking the learning and teaching experience in contemporary schools. And to take one of those as an example, modern learners today have the ability to publish using a diverse variety of media for no and low cost, which enables them to share their ideas and get feedback from others. And you all know that to be the case, but it changes the dynamic very much in the classroom, in the four walls that we made reference of when we started. So the question I have to ask you is, how does the availability of diverse, high quality, easily accessible content change the way our students learn? And how does online publishing change the way our students learn? Well, here's one example. Of course, blogging, but this is not just regular blogging within a classroom. This was a blog that was actually put together called the Sporting Journal. This was put together, and these people had 20 accredited journalists at the London Olympics when it was held there last year or the year before. The difference was it was started up by 14-year-old Jacob Arnott from Carey Grammar in Melbourne, ironically. He isn't the exception anymore. Young people around the world are doing this sort of work all over the place. The second point is what modern learners have the ability to form networks, which allows them to contrast their ideas and experiences with other learners. So what are the implications of that? They can create activist organisations like Deforest Action, where young people from all around the world connected online through this website and helped fight the problem with deforestation through Indonesia with the help of the government. And it was quite an extraordinary initiative. Let's look through the lens of the inquiry-based learner and let's look at what we can learn from them. Well, potentially they have the ability to obtain feedback from multiple sources, not just from the teacher, not just from their classmates, but from people outside the classroom. And so they get that feedback which allows them to fail fast. And you heard that mentioned repeatedly yesterday. And we know about the benefits of failing from people like James Dyson, who failed 5,126 times before he actually came up with the vacuum cleaner that he's made so famous. So modern learners also, in this inquiry-based environment, have the ability to reuse and build upon the work of others, which enables them to move beyond individual and isolated projects. For instance, the gaming environment, where you have gaming communities and people post a game up and someone somewhere else in the world in another language can get that game and add to it and continuously add and build on other people's ideas. And so the question you would ask yourself in this modern learning environment is, does copyright then encourage or discourage creativity and new ideas? And finally, through the eyes of the self-directed learner, modern learners have the ability to operate in the same spaces as experts and professionals, which enables them to make better decisions about their own learning. And ultimately, if you are looking for learners who are more self-directed, they have to be better informed. How can they be better informed? Well, they now have a range of places they can reach out through the internet. And things like fan fiction are a classic example, where young people and professionals share experiences and feedback and critique. places like Math Overflow or the physics equivalent are where students from all around the world can go and share their questions and challenges with professionals in those fields and get feedback. So as I come to the end of my presentation, I've got just a couple more comments to make. We have to rethink, in this modern learning, technology-rich environment, how do schools respond as students become autonomous, high-speed web-connected, self-directed learners? Are we potentially locking our young people's potential up inside our 20th century notions of curriculum? And if we are, what can we do about that? Because as Larry Rosenstock, who's the principal of a very famous school in San Diego, High Tech High, said, it's not about delivering curriculum to the kids, but rather discovering curriculum with them. If you'd like more information on those principles of modern learning, the website's there, feel free to go to it. There'll be a book released within the next 6 weeks which you may find useful. And just in finishing, I want to remind you that the whole point of this is for us to rethink, to reimagine, to challenge ourselves, to let go of the paradigm of education and school that we were educated in. It's this generation today that has the chance to do this, as no generation before has. Modern technologies provide students with the potential for experiences of unprecedented breadth, depth and complexity. And as a result, we must rethink what we expect of students. We can't presume they're going to have this technology and still produce work of the same level. They must be doing far beyond it. And the most profound area to mention that is mathematics. It is quite absurd that we continue to teach mathematics in exactly the same way when we have computers that will allow us to take our mathematical thinking so much further. We must stop underestimating what our young people are now capable of, and above all, set much higher expectations. Thanks very much.
보편적 접근 가능성이라는 측면은 우리 정보통신기술로 굉장히 중요한 측면이죠. 이런 측면에서 최신 교습법의 방향에 대한 3가지 키워드를 말씀해 주셨어요. 소셜 러너라는 어떤 학습자의 네트워킹의 어떤 사회적 관계에 대한 이해, 그리고 셀프 디렉티드라는 거는 우리 교육에서도 지속적으로 중요한 어떤 자발적인, 자율적인 어토노미라는 단어로도 표현을 해주셨고, 셀프 디렉티드라는 측면으로 정리를 해주셨고, 무엇보다 어떤 탐구적인, 탐색적인 그 기반을 둔 어떤 키워드를 가지고 결국은 12가지의 그런 컨템포러리 러닝에 대한 원리를 명확하게 얘기를 해주셨습니다. 조금 더 시간이 있었으면 한 가지 원리에 대해서 이야기를 들을 수 있었으면 참 좋았을 뻔했는데, 관련해서는 나중에 질문을 통해서 이해하지 못하신 어떤 키워드나 원리에 대해서는 말씀해 주시면 될 것 같습니다. 다음으로는 이제 구체적인 어떤 사례를 가지고 이런 어떤 컨템포러리 러닝이라는 표현도 좋고, 어떤 새로운 교육의 어떤 변화 방향이라는 측면도 좋고, 정은희 박사로부터 21st Century Learning with N for the World라는 그런 제목으로 구체적인 사례에 대한 이야기와 함께 적용 가능성에 대한 이야기를 좀 들어보고자 합니다.
저도 배웠습니다. I was requested to make a presentation in English, so for the translators' convenience, I will speak in English. But if I really need Korean, I can speak Korean too. So please let me know. So let me introduce myself a little bit. I was also a teacher in Korea, elementary school, for about 6 years, and then at some point I started communicating with foreigners while I was learning English, because I had to teach English from 3rd grade, but when I was in university, there was no curricula we can teach elementary students. So I went to a private institute. That was the first time I started talking with people from other country. From the point I was thinking about how important it is to help our learners to expose to the world. So this presentation is the outcome of my whole struggling to deliver this kind of program to our students. So hopefully you can have some idea out of it. Let me read the title a little slowly because it contains everything I really want to deliver today. 21st Century Learning with and for the world. I really want to emphasize on these green letters, and with and for. My presentation is about promoting intercultural competence through globally networked virtual schooling. The main idea is to develop intercultural competence. So today, I'm going to talk about why this is important. We have to understand what is the 21st century education is all about. So I'm going to introduce it. And also, these days, there are many approaches in the world to deliver 21st century education. So I'm going to just touch a little bit of that concept, which we used to hear, MOOC. And then, by looking at this MOOC, we will identify something we might be missing. Later, I will emphasize what we have to really take care of, what is important. And then to deliver that important part, what kind of learning format can be applied to our school system or our classroom activity. That is Introduction to Globally Networked Virtual Schooling, IVECA. You will know what IVECA is soon. And then I will show you some students' activities and teachers' activities, a real example, because my session is to show actual application of this whole 21st century learning concept and outcome. And at the end of this session, I will surprise you by inviting somebody from America, but he's not here, but he will come here all of a sudden. So let me show you the 21st century, a video. It contains a lot of good concept, helping us to understand what 21st century looks like. How was the video? Is it very familiar? The content must be very familiar to you. But here is something very interesting to me. Did you see this? In the future, in the 21st century, our students will have jobs that have not even exist yet. Did you find this? They will use technologies that have not been invented. They will try to solve problems that have not emerged. These three statements really impressed me, because what we have to prepare our students is not about something already existing, all the skill set. Just like this, preparing students for 21st century is not just about technologies or a skill for the global economy. We've been hearing about the vocational education and training the students with something already existing. But what we really have to think is something have not been yet, but we have to let students have the ability to handle those something emerging or happening in the future. So 21st century education is all about, I hope you could catch some of the words. It was very fast at the end, but that is not because it's all different words, but actually it was repeating same word, because that is very important. Let me go through it together, because we can find very key word out of this for 21st century education. Creativity, you must be hearing this many, many times everywhere. Cultural awareness. This video mentioning cultural awareness. Why? Because of the technology, we are so interconnected, connected anytime. The previous presenter also talked about we are learning anywhere, anytime. That means we have better chance to meet some people from different places. So we need to have to have cultural awareness for that. Problem solving, innovation, civic engagement, communication, productivity also related to the previous presenter's presentation, which is about publishing. Collaboration, exploration, responsibility. These are the 21st century education. So now we really have to go into our education system, which really delivering just the whole keywords through the schooling, but we will see how it works. Most importantly, this video, I agree with this video and the content. We have to deliver the 21st century education, making our classroom as dynamic as the world around us. If we can bring all the dynamics happening in the world into our classrooms, our students are going to be very competent globally, and they can do anything. They can do everything in this world, 21st century. So this is what I'm trying to do, and let's see what kind of new trend, educational trend, is really try to convey this idea to the learners. A new learning trend is, anybody knows about MOOCs? Please raise your hand if you have heard MOOC. Yeah, not many, but some few, 1/3 maybe, have heard. So I'm just going to touch base. I'm not going to go deeper into it. But let me tell you, the MOOC is a massive open online course. Simply speaking, people can access to quality education, quality lecture content anytime, anywhere. Stanford University or lots of prestigious universities are opening their coursework through the online, and anybody can sign up for it for free. So many students are signed up for it, and then they want to learn. I also signed up for one of the course, the finance and management course, delivered from, I think it was Stanford or Harvard. But I could not finish. There must be many, many reasons. But there are many MOOC programs delivered through Coursera, edX, Udacity, Open Education. All those things is related to higher education. You can get content for higher education. The Khan Academy, they deliver K through 12 content, so the students can get some video lecture from the web for free, so they can study by themselves. They have ability to get quality content. But however, the MOOC has we have some concern about this system. Some people said this can be the replacement of the 21st century school education, but so many people didn't complete this whole process, education process, only below 10%. Also, I would like to mention this is a really wonderful opportunity for anybody who cannot afford to go to good university. They can access the quality education, but this is mainly about delivering video lecture, and through the assignment, they are evaluated. This is a one-on-one tutoring concept and mastery learning. This program wants students to master certain learning concept, but there is not enough intercultural communication involved or global collaboration. You can do it by building up the network, but it's limited and it's not planned. So what should matter in the 21st century education is, I believe, students has to have understanding and respect toward differences in culture among people, and they need to be able to collaborate with people from different countries. And by having diverse perspective, they can create it. This capability will make our world more peaceful, and we can develop together, and innovation can happen. The direction is our learning has to be for making better world, and this capability we can say intercultural competence. I would like to identify the important competency of 21st century society is going to be intercultural competence. How we can develop intercultural competence then? Direct communication with people in different cultures is the best way to develop intercultural competence. Then now we are going to think, how can we provide the opportunity for students to directly communicate through their learning process? So here is the program opportunity to do so. Intercultural virtual exchange of classroom activities. Let me introduce this program by showing you a video. And if you have the radio, interpreter is going to interpret the content.
Program on the computer with other countries. Communicate with another class in another country on the other side of the world, but more better, you can just learn from them too.
Welcome to IVECA, International Virtual Schooling. Our current society is extremely globalized and culturally interconnected.
Future generations need to be capable of understanding and reconciling cultural differences.
So it's important that we build healthy relationships with everyone around the world.
To address this challenge, we need to redefine what the role of education should be.
Students are required to develop the ability to communicate with others who are linguistically and culturally different from themselves.
21st century education must provide opportunities for students to learn how to effectively interact in international and multicultural working environments.
We have to keep introducing the children to the wider world because we are so interdependent with all the other countries.
Students are required to develop the ability to communicate with others who are linguistically and culturally different from themselves.
Our program offers intercultural education and makes it affordable and easily accessible to every school.
Intercultural education, to develop such intercultural competence, has been suggested as a way to fulfill that important role in education.
IVECA to me is 21st century learning that provides an opportunity to students to communicate with classrooms around the world.
The IVECA program is an opportunity for teachers to take their children beyond their classroom, and it gives the children and the teachers an opportunity to be able to meet with other children and other teachers in a different country.
People who possess intercultural competence will be able to play significant roles in promoting peace, harmony, security, and human rights in this globalized world.
Through a centrally managed framework and the use of existing technologies, we enable direct interaction between students and connect classrooms from around the world.
The program fully integrates into existing curricula and covers many different subjects.
One of the things that that is so appealing about it is that we're not adding anything on to what our teachers already teach our children.
All you have to do is provide your curriculum, the lessons are laid out for you, and then you're able to address this curriculum in a unique way.
The curriculum that is chosen is really all about making the world a better place for everyone, and the kids really latch on to that.
The main benefit for students participating in IVECA is to increase their intercultural competence.
In the sense that the children that we teach here today are as likely to do business with people across the world as they are to do business with people down the street.
So it's important that we build healthy relationships with everyone around the world.
And they need to understand and learn how to work in an intercultural setting. And that's what IVECA teaches.
The program provides a virtual environment that enables students not only to share subject matters, but also to socialize within the program.
Surprised how other schools look like in there.
I liked learning about what they do there, and just because they're another state, that doesn't mean they're any different from you.
By taking advantage of existing technology, the program makes direct connections between classrooms in different countries.
All you need is a decent web camera and a microphone and a screen where you can project the pictures coming in from the other side.
And the teacher can stand up there and ask a question, and you can choose children from both sides of the world to answer it. It's very powerful.
So when you combine the aspects of an authentic audience, technology, and a relevant project that they can share with people, I think motivation goes to the ceiling, basically.
Joining IVECA is easy and fast. You could be up and running in 30 days. Find out more at iveca.org.
This is about IVECA program. I hope you could understand what IVECA is about. Was it helpful? Yeah? I'd like to see some smile though. You might find out by now, this IVECA program is not about just connecting school and let people collaborate each other globally. It's about to making our place to better place to live together. That is our main concept as well. I hope you can find it too. So IVECA program is an ICT based. We use already existing technology. There are so many technology already. By taking advantage of it, we can provide the globally connected intercultural exchange programs virtually. It aims to promote interculturally competent global citizens. And this program enables all students around the world to study together on subject matter as they used to do at school, but they share it with their partners in different countries. Also, through the network, they can be doing some social interaction too. They make the global friends. And this is all about transforming schooling to be more 21st century learner-based and to be more globalized. So, I'm not going to go deeper into the theoretical matter, but I want to introduce this. Behind this IVECA program, we try to develop intercultural competence. The intercultural competence includes 5 dimensions. This has to be developed holistically, not just about knowledge, not just about skill. It all has to go together to be completely interculturally competent. So there are 5 dimensions. I'm just going to make conceptualize what intercultural competence is. This is an ability to communicate and interact appropriately and effectively. It's very important. Appropriately and effectively with people from different cultures, and the people are using different languages in a global and multicultural collaborative working environment, but based on understanding and respect towards cultural diversity. This is the intercultural competence. And the IVECA program, this is not just putting 2 different classrooms from different countries into the one virtual platform and then let them just study whatever they want to do. It's very systematically organized. We take the curriculum from the local schools and then put them, the common area, into this intercultural competence concept. So IVECA curriculum become a curriculum to reach to the local school curricula's goal, as well as developing intercultural competence. So the exchange activity has 2 different forms. One is asynchronous. they use virtual platform. They can post and reply to each other's work. And second, they have live class using video conferencing. If school has some very good video conferencing system, they can use it. But this is open source Skype. Maybe Google Hangout could be used too. So we use affordable technology for this exchange activity. I'm going to show you some of the students' activity, what they did. This is K-12 elementary level platform, the virtual classroom. And this is university level. The left side, there are the speaker series, the professors, they deliver their course, and then students in different countries, they access to it, they discuss together on same lecture. And right side is the same idea. They equally exchange their coursework in university setting. This is example, live together. They share what they do in their traditional holidays and what they do after school. And what they do in their classroom, they videotape and share it together and discuss about it together. And energy saving, they are talking about contemporary issue. Share who they admire to follow, and they can exchange their perspective on great people. Global invention, they also invented certain product to help the world to live more harmoniously, conveniently. For the blind people, for the tsunami prevention, and lots of ideas shared. And then through the live class, they voted for the best invention product. So they could have the invention king out of the class. This is elementary school. And they did ocean pollution, science experiments, videotaped, and then they released the outcome of this experiment through the live class. This is all happening in school, but not just doing it at school only, but they are sharing, collaborating on the idea and the outcome and problem solving. This is the live class. If you like to see, I can show you live class later on. This above one is for the elementary school. The below is university. Teachers also collaborate through the teacher's room. Their communication goes this way. And there is some academic research applied to this activity. And research showed this one classroom exchange showed that they significantly improved intercultural competence and language proficiency as well. And this is, we took whole classroom out of same grade, also shows significant improvement in both countries, in this case, Korea and America. This kid's little talk is very cute, and they are talking about their experience. Very, very naive, very pure. You will love it. Please listen to the translator's interpretation.
Because you could respond to think about it. It's almost across the world. That you get the response all the way from there.
And you don't get this many chances to talk to people all the way, or not all the way, but far.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Once in a lifetime. Yeah. Now I'm not thinking about America. I'm thinking about other continents in the world and how they cooperate.
Yeah.
Even though we practice a lot, it was kind of fun. Well, it was fun because then you could do even though you practice on something, at the end you get this huge surprise. I enjoyed talking with them
and had lots of fun doing this.
Wow, nice to hear.
Blast.
Blast. Wow, thank you so much. Thank you.
They think they did a lot of work, but they enjoy it most importantly, and then they know they get a huge outcome out of that activities. That's what they are saying. And students are saying this at the farewell letter I found. They say, you change, the IVECA, through the IVECA, they change the way they see other cultures, and they feel like this was a really wonderful privilege to experience. And he is saying, it's not thinking about the America anymore. He's basically thinking about the world. This is American boy, and then let me show you the other one. This is Korean 6th grader. After finishing this program, she posted this message voluntarily, and I was almost crying when I watched this or look at this message. She's trying to explain what she got out of this activity. She says, if you continue to share stories with foreign countries, you naturally get used to think widely, based on the whole world, not only your own country. Their perspective become globalized, right? And then if that happens, they think the people in different countries become their friends, so they care about it. So they found if this kind of education keep going on, the war or conflict would not be happening, it will be decreasing. That's what this little girl, 6th grader, are saying after experiencing this program. So one of the impact, the school system, they applied to this program, the outcome was very desirable, so they start having professional development program throughout the district. And here's a Mr. Ned Kirsch. Actually, he is actually in America right now. But he's superintendent, 지역교육청장님. He's gonna talk about his experience with this IVECA program, how he perceived this program, if he think it can be expanded further, and what he got out of this experience. Let's hear about his comments on this. This is real time. It's midnight. It's almost 1 a.m. He's very sleepy, so if he's mumbling around, please understand. Thank you, Mr. Kirsch.
Hi. Good evening. In Vermont and the United States, the emphasis is currently on the Common Core, which is a set of rigorous standards that's been adopted by almost every state in our country. And those standards address things like writing, speaking, listening, presenting ideas. Our school action plan as well talks about flexible learning environments and global collaboration. So knowing that, as a superintendent, I began looking for programs that would fit our action plan, but also fit within the Common Core. Something that we wanted to do that was different from what we'd always done. We really wanted to address the aspect of cultural diversity. Being in Vermont, we do not have a lot of access to it. Our traditional plan was to teach French and Spanish. We had exchange students from other countries who would sometimes visit our class, but we never really got to the concept of intercultural competence. And we needed to address that for our students. And that's why we found IVECA so appealing. Last year we started IVECA with 5 classrooms in our district, and it was special because it was new and different. It was different from how we usually operated. At first, our teachers and our students were a bit nervous. We were talking about combining curriculums. We were talking about taking time away from what they thought they needed to do with our kids, and they just didn't know how it would be. But once the program began, their fears washed away. The kids absolutely loved speaking with kids from a different country, from Korea. Parents loved it, and the teachers began to see it not as extra work, but important work and integral to exactly what they did in their classrooms every day. When IVECA ended, the teachers immediately asked me, can we do it again next year? When can we do it? And we started up 2 weeks ago with IVECA with 5 classrooms. We've also added, we're going to add 7 more classrooms this year in grades 3 through 8 to the IVECA experience as well. The other teachers who want to be part of it heard that, how great it was, and the students, much like the video that you just saw, expressed a great interest in continuing to work with students from Korea. So the program has become part of our school district at this point. It really aids us in so many ways, but mostly it helps our kids look at how we make the world a better place through intercultural competence and working with other people.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kirsch. Could you please give him a clapping? He can hear that. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
So you can sleep now.
Thank you.
Okay. Can you show the presentation, please? Okay, so he has a lot of good education. He did a lot of good educational efforts, so I'm very happy to work with. So this is final. So IVECA also, I wanted to give you some credibility of this program. And this is awarded as a 21st century best practice from the United States Distance Learning Association, and also United Nations found this program is helpful for making the world a better place to live together through the education. So we became a special consultative status to the United Nations Economic and Social Council. So thank you so much for listening to this. If you have any question, please let us know. Thank you.
한국 문화에서는 이렇게 앉아서 뭔가 말씀을 드리는 게 예의에 어긋나는 것처럼 이제 생각되실 수 있어서 제가 이제 아까 스탠딩 하면서 마이크를 잡았었는데요. 두 분의 발표가 끝나셨기 때문에 이제는 토론과 함께 제가 여러분들의 질문을 모아 궁금하신 점을 풀어드리는 이런 역할을 하기 위해서 앉아 있습니다. 두 분의 발표가 제 개인적으로도 굉장히 흥미로운 건 교육의 변화, 21세기 사회 변화에 대한 얘기는 굉장히 많은 문헌을 통해서 우리가 알고 있고 사실은 어떤 역량이어야 되는지에 대한 연구 이슈도 세계적으로 굉장히 중요한 주제이기는 합니다만 우리가 지금 시점에서는 그렇다면 어떻게 그러한 학습자의 역량을 어떻게 교육을 실제적으로 끌어갈까에 대한 어떤 구체적인 사례에 기반한 어떤 전략이나 원리가 필요할 텐데 두 분의 발표가 전체적인 교육의 방향에 대한 12가지의 학습 원리 그리고 특히 정은희 박사의 발표에는 적어도 학습자 역량 중에 Intercultural Competency 역량을 증진시키기 위한 IVECA 프로그램에 대해서는 굉장히 구체적으로 설명을 해주셨다는 것이 이제 두 분의 발표가 의미가 있지 않나라는 생각이 들고 IVECA 프로그램에 대해서는 참고로 지금 전국적으로 5개 학교에서 적용하는 것으로 정책 과제화되고 있고 추진되고 있습니다. 아마 그 결과가 내년도 상반기에는 나올 거라고 정말로 Intercultural Competency가 아이들에게 증진이 됐는지 그 역량에 대해서 아이들이 가지게 됐는지 그 결과를 함께 공유할 수 있을 것 같습니다. 두 분의 발표에 대해서 이제 두 분의 토론자가 말씀을 해주실 텐데요. 먼저 이재호 경인교대 교수님께서 말씀을 해주시겠습니다.
예, 지금 소개받은 경인교대 이재호입니다. 정 박사님이 시간을 조금 더 쓰셔서 제가 조금 짧게 하도록 하겠습니다. 일단 원래 이제 토론은 주제를 발표하신 분들의 내용에 대한 이제 코멘트, 언급이 좀 있어야 되고, 그 다음에, 이 세션 주제에 대한 이제 시사점 같은 거를 제시해야 되니까, 그 순서대로 제가 진행을 하도록 하겠습니다. 우선 첫 번째 발표하신 브루스 딕슨의 주제 발표는 21세기형 학습자를 3가지 유형으로 정의하셨죠. 근데 일반적으로 생각할 수 있는 학습자 유형을 잘 정의하셨다 이렇게 생각이 들고, 근데 조금 이제 눈에 띄게 좀 탁월하게 하셨다고 생각이 드는 것은 12가지의 학습자 능력을 이제 분석하고 정의하신 것이 아닌가 싶습니다. 그래서 21세기형 학습자들은 이런 특성은 있구나 이렇게 그룹핑할 수는 있지만 그 사람들이 이렇게 구체적인 능력을 가지고 있으니 이를 기반으로 한 새로운 커리큘럼을 구성해야 한다 하는 것이 브루스 딕슨의 메시지가 아닌가 싶습니다. 두 번째 발표하신 아이베카의 대표이신 정은희 박사님의 주제 발표 내용은 문화 간 역량이라는 키워드를 잘 발췌하신 것 같습니다. 그래서 그 문화 간 역량을 증진할 수 있는 교육적 플랫폼을 직접 개발하신 건지 정확하게 모르겠지만 하여튼 아이베카라고 하는 도구를 써서 지금 세계에서 미래 교육의 이미지를 구현하는 노력을 한 사례를 보여주셨다 이렇게 생각이 듭니다. 수고 많이 하셨습니다. 두 분 주제 발표가 가능하게 된 이유는 잘 아시겠지만 기술의 발전에 따른 교육 환경의 변화이고, 여기서 얘기하는 기술은 특별히 ICT, 정보통신 기술이다 이렇게 정의할 수 있겠습니다. ICT가 이제 출현함으로써 교육 환경에 획기적인 변화를 가져오는 촉매제 역할을 하고 있다. 이렇게 정의하고 싶습니다. 그럼 이제 본 세션의 주제인 교실의 벽을 허물기 위해서 다양한 시도를 하고 있는데, 그러면 교실의 벽은 어떤 것이 있는지 한번 짚고 넘어가고 싶습니다. 첫 번째는 가장 쉽게 생각할 수 있는 게 물리적인 벽이 아닌가 싶습니다. 공간, 거리, 이런 것에 의한 물리적인 벽. 두 번째는 키워드에도 이번 주제에도 들어와 있는 소통의 벽이 되겠죠. 학생 간, 교사 간, 학생과 교사 간, 학부모 간. 세 번째는 교과목, 학문 분야 간 벽이 아닌가 싶습니다. 이 외에도 계층 간 벽, 자원 활용의 벽 등이 있을 수 있는데, 지금 제가 열거한 이상의 벽은 전통적인 의미의 교실의 벽이다, 이렇게 생각이 듭니다. 이러한 전통적인 의미의 교실의 벽이 지금 이제 허물어지고 있는 것이죠. ICT의 출현으로 인해서. 물리적인 벽은 지금 사이버 공간에서 교육이 진행되니까 거리가 멀리 떨어져 있는 친구들, 또는 시간이 안 맞는 친구들, 다른 공간에 있는 친구들, IVECA 사례를 봐서도 알 수 있겠지만 같이 공부할 수 있는 이런 환경이 됐죠. 그래서 벽은 허물어졌고요. 소통의 벽은 여기 계신 분들도 대다수 사용하시겠지만 스마트 디바이스와 스마트 미디어의 출현으로 진짜 엄청나게 많은 소통이 이루어지고 있습니다. 처음에는 이제 친구들과 그냥 채팅하는 형식의 소통이었지만, 저도 사실 다른 미디어는 별로 안 쓰지만 SNS 미디어를 이용해서 학생들과 또는 동료들과 연구와 교육과 관련되는 소통을 많이 하는 추세고, 이건 현장에서도 많이 지금 진행되고 있다, 이렇게 볼 수 있겠습니다. 그러니까 소통의 벽도 많이 허물어지고 있는 상황이다, 이렇게 볼 수 있고요. 그 다음에 이제 학문 분야 간 벽은, 전통적인 교실 같은 경우는 교실 안에 교사가 들어가 있으면은 그 교과를 담당하는 교사 중심으로 그 교과 내용만 이제 교육이 됐었죠. 그런데 기술이 도입이 되니까 아까 브루스 딕슨도 사례에서 얘기했지만, 외부의 수많은 지식과 자료들 또는 외부 전문가들과 쉽게 교육 시간에 소통할 수 있게 된 것이죠. 그러다 보니 내가 지금 국어를 가르치고 있어도 과학과 관련되는 전문가의 의견을 들을 수가 있고, 역사와 관련되는 전문가의 의견을 들음으로써 자연스럽게 교과 영역 간 장벽이 허물어지고 21세기가 요구하는 융합형 교육을 시도할 수 있는 계기를 마련했다, 이렇게 볼 수가 있겠습니다. 자, 그러면은 우리 현실을 한번 보겠습니다. 우리 현실을 보면서 이제 몇 가지 과제를 좀 제시하고 싶은데요. 첫 번째, 기술의 발전 속도는 어마어마합니다. 그렇죠? 기하급수적으로 발전하고 있죠. 기술이 발전하니까 그 기술을 활용한 교육 플랫폼들도 속속 등장하고 있습니다. 사실은 전문가들도 잘 모르는 교육 플랫폼들이 많이 나와 있습니다. 자, 학생들은 지금 브루스 딕슨이 제시했던 그 12가지 역량의 상당 부분이 학생들의 그 지식, 기술 활용 능력과 관련되는 것이라고 볼 수 있는데, 학생들의 기술 습득 능력, 활용 능력은 굉장히 대단합니다. 근데 그 활용 능력이 시간이 갈수록 더 진화하죠. 초등학생보다는 중학생, 중학생보다는 고등학생, 고등학생보다는 대학생, 이렇게 되어 갈 것으로 쉽게 예상할 수 있습니다. 근데 교사를 포함한 기성세대들은 어떤가 하는 것입니다. 좀 차이가 나는 거죠. 이분들은 기술에 대한 막연한 두려움을 갖고 있습니다. 기술을 어디에 적용하는데 그렇게 자발적으로 하고 싶어 하지 않는 습성을 갖고 있습니다. 저를 포함해서 마찬가지인 거. 저도 마찬가지예요, 사실. 그런데 학교에서 교실의 벽을 허문다고 하더라도 교사가 없이 수업을 진행하고 그 다음에 교사의 도움 없이 양질의 교육을 시행하는 것은 단기간 안에 이루어지기는 어렵습니다. 교사는 굉장히 지금 중요한 역할을 하고 있다. 앞으로도 상당 기간 교사의 역할은 클 것이다. 이렇게 봐야 하겠습니다. 그런 측면에서 지금 약간 간과하고 있는 21세기 교육이 학습자 중심이고 자기주도적이고 아까 뭐라고 그랬죠? 탐구 중심적이고 하더라도 교사를 고려하는 그러한 제도적 지원이 필요하다 하는 것을 말씀드리고 싶습니다. 그래서 약간은 역발상적이긴 하지만 티처 프렌들리한 교육 플랫폼과 커리큘럼 개발에 관심을 가져야 될 시간이다. 이런 것을 과제로 하나 던집니다. 두 번째는 기술이 발전하면은 이제 전통적인 벽은 이제 이 시점에서 전통적인 벽은 상당히 허물어졌다. 이렇게 볼 수 있겠는데 새로운 벽들이 출현할 것이다 하는 것을 예상하고 준비해야 되지 않겠느냐 하는 것입니다. 그러면 새로운 벽은 무엇이 있을까? 한번 생각해 보면 가장 쉽게 생각할 수 있는 거는 스마트 기기, 그 다음에 스마트 미디어를 사용하면서 일어나는 부작용, 역기능들이 되겠죠. 예. 지금 사회적으로도 많은 문제가 되고 있죠. 그래서 뭐 사이버 왕따라든지 중독이라든지 개인정보 침해라든지 저작권 문제라든지 하는 것들이 다 이 범주에 속하지 않을까 싶습니다. 두 번째 또 예상할 수 있는 것은 21세기형 학습자들과 기성세대 간의 격차가 심각해질 수가 있다 하는 것입니다. 이것은 세대 간의 장벽으로도 나타날 수가 있다. 얼마 전이죠, 사실. 그 인터넷 붐이 한참 일어났을 때, 사람들이 전문가들이 즐겼었던 용어 중에 하나가 information divided라는 용어였죠. 근데 아마 스마트 디바이디드라는 새로운 용어가 등장하지 않을까 하는 예상을 해봅니다. 이 이유는 리터러시라는 개념이 시대가 변하면서 자꾸만 다양해지는데 기성세대들이 그 스마트한 리터러시를 쫓아가기에는 약간 역부족이다. 그 기성세대들에 대한 고려사항, 백 박사님이 이제 말씀하실지 모르겠는데 평생 교육하시니까 그 고려사항들이 충분히 진행돼야 된다. 이렇게 말씀드리고 싶습니다. 세 번째는 이제 인터넷에서 사업하는 사람들이 보통 이렇게 얘기합니다. 21세기에 이제 돈 벌 수 있는 사업, 인터넷 공간에서 돈 벌 수 있는 사업, 킬러 애플리케이션은 교육이다. 이런 얘기들을 합니다. 그러니까 교육 시스템, 교육 플랫폼을 가지고 이제 뭐 돈 사업을 하고 무슨 이제 뭐 하려고 하는 사람들이 출연을 많이 할 텐데 이런 사람들에 의해서 정보들이 집중이 되면은 교육계 빅브라더가 출연하지 않을까 하는 생각도 해봅니다. 우려이기를 바라지 않습니다. 이상과 같은 문제들에 대한 해결책, 준비를 해야 되는 시기다. 이런 말씀을 드리고 제 토론을 이제 마무리하는 말씀을 드리겠습니다. 지금까지 제가 말씀드린 그 기술은 이제 ICT에 집중되어 있던 것이고 ICT는 융합의 핵심입니다. 융합. ICT가 접목돼야 융합이 꽃을 피웁니다. 그러니까 예를 들어서 ICT가 접목된 자동차, 이래야 더 멋진 자동차가 되는 거고 ICT가 접목된 배, 이래야 더 멋진 배가 되는 것이죠. 근데 교육은 더 심각해집니다. 교육은 ICT가 접목돼야 더 멋진 교육이 실행이 되는 거고 구현이 되는 것입니다. 지금 현재 우리가 살고 있는 사회는 ICT 생활 밀착형 사회다. 이렇게 쉽게 정의할 수 있습니다. 우리가 ICT의 도움 없이 새벽부터 저녁까지 할 수 있는 일이 얼마나 될까? 한번 여러분들 속으로 한번 생각해 보시기 바랍니다. 많지 않습니다. 그렇기 때문에 ICT를 활용한 어떤 일, 특히 교육은 이제 선택이 아닌 필수 상황이다. 미뤄서는 안 되고 받아들여야 한다 하는 말씀을 드리고 싶고, 오늘 이러한 자리가 대한민국이 ICT를 활용한 스마트 교육을 선도하는 그러한 국가가 되는 계기가 될 수 있기를 기원해 봅니다. 이상으로 마치겠습니다.
감사합니다. 마지막으로 우리 백은순 센터장님께 간단한 토론 요지를 부탁드리겠습니다.
예, 안녕하십니까. 국가평생교육진흥원에 있는 백은순입니다. 지금 현재 담당하고 있는 일은 다문화, 제가 지금 말을 시작하자마자 저 뒤에서 떴습니다. 빨리 하라는 얘기인 것 같습니다. 예. 원래 맨 뒤에 자리를 받으면 이런 일이 항상 많이 생기게 됩니다. 예, 두 분이 발표 잘 들었습니다. 굉장히 제 입장에서는 상당히 어떤 의미에서는 익숙한 이야기를 하셨어요. 그 얘기는 우리나라에서 이미 이런 식의 교실의 벽을 넘어서자, 그거를 한계를 넘어서자 한 얘기가 어제 오늘 나온 얘기가 아닙니다. 우리나라 1995년 교육개혁 할 때 제일 나온 얘기가 누구나 언제 어디서나 학습하자. 벌써 20년 전 얘기입니다. 그때부터 얘기 나왔어요. 그래서 누구나 언제 어디서나 잘 학습하자라고 얘기했는데 지금도 우리는 뭔가 그것이 잘 열리고 있다고 생각하지 않습니다. 그러면 그동안에 20년 동안에 했던 얘기가 그럼 다 뭔 얘기인가 이렇게 할 수도 있을 것 같고요. 그래서 두 분이 얘기를 들으면서 굉장히 좋은 얘기들을 말씀해 주셨고 저는 원래에 대해서 충분히 동의합니다. 그런데 우리가 이제 할 거는 그러면 과연 우리 상황에서 무엇이 문제여서 이렇게 안 됐지? 왜 지금 학교는 이렇게 어렵지? 라는 걸 반문해야 될 것 같습니다. 왜 학교 중학교 애들은 왜 선생님들은 가기 싫어하지? 왜 걔네들은 학교 폭력이 그렇게 많지? 왜 애들은 뜨거운 혁대를 갖다 달구어서 남한테 쓱 구우면서 네가 얼마나 뜨거운지 알아보려고 했어. 이런 일들이 나타나고 있는 현실입니다. 왜 이런 일들이 생겼을까? 이것이 우리가 ICT가 덜 발달해서인가? 굉장히 여러 가지 얘기를 생각할 수 있을 것 같습니다. 그런데 우리가 기본적으로 지금 저는 문제와 함께 가야 될 방향을 봐야 된다고 생각합니다. 가야 될 방향에 있어서 보다 오픈 소사이어티로 가고 학교가 열려야 하고 그다음에 학생들이 그냥 교사의 명령만 듣는 애가 아니라 아까 말씀한 대로 셀프 디렉티드 이런 식으로 스스로가 할 수 있는 방향으로 나아가야 하고 그런 거는 이미 평생교육 분야에서는 몇십 년부터 나왔던 얘기고요. 그래서 교육을 바꾸자고 했습니다. 그래서 러너다라는 말을 썼었고 티처라는 말도 잘 안 씁니다. 조력자라는 말을 씁니다. 학생이 있으면 그거를 조력해주는 사람이 있으면 되는 거지 굳이 교사란 말을 써서 양쪽 사이 간극을 넓히지 말자라는 얘기를 하는데요. 그래서 이런 식의 지금 계속해서 어떤 트렌드 자체는 굉장히 우리가 다 바른 방향으로 가고 어제 세션, 여기서 하는 다른 분야의 세션도 똑같은 얘기가 나오고 있습니다. 대학 분야도 마찬가지였어요. 대학도 굉장히 벽이 많다. 이걸 어떻게 할 것이냐. 그들의 해결책은 대학이 티칭과 에듀케이션 쪽으로 더 주력하되 사회와 연결하자는 얘기가 나왔습니다. 결국은 기업과도 연결하고 이런 식으로 할 수밖에 없다. 근데 우리 학교가 지금 가장 문제점은 제가 볼 때는 따로 혼자 있다는 겁니다. 섬 안에 있습니다. 그래서 학교는 그 속에서 무엇이 이루어지고 있는지를 아무도 몰라요, 사실은. 도대체 지금 어디서 무슨 일이 있는지. 그다음에 학교 현장에 가서 보면은 마치 교과서가 아직도 신인 양. 교과서라든지 몇몇 툴에 의해서만 가르쳐야 되고 이 다양한 것들을 개발하면 뭐합니까? 거기서 현장에 쓰지 않는다면 저는 그것이 우리의 컬처라든지 우리의 문화와 그런 평가 시스템과 이런 것들이 바뀌지 않은 이상 계속 반복될 것 같습니다. 우리는 ICT가 부족해서 뭘 못하는 게 아니라 그런 거는 충분히 있음에도 불구하고 그것이 허락이 되어 있지를 않고 그런 것들을 평가해서 그것들이 반영이 되고 있지를 않습니다. 그러다 보니까 엄마들이 무슨 얘기하냐면 책을 열심히 읽고 있는 애나 이런 거를 열심히 찾는 애한테 그딴 거 그만두고 공부해. 이거는 결국은 다시 원래 정말 구닥다리 방식으로 가라는 얘기가 나오는 이유가 도대체 우리가 무엇이 문제인가를 봐야 되지 않을까. 그럼 그거를 어떻게 할까에 대해서도 좀 진지한 고민이 이루어진다고 봅니다. 그래서 그거를 깨는 방법이 저는 지금 ICT에 기반한 여러 가지 얘기들이 굉장히 좋습니다. 그런 거 필요하고 그것과 함께 또 하나 우리가 강구하지 말아야 될 거는 학교가 on뿐 아니라 off로도 열려야 된다고 봅니다. 사실 그 학교 안에 많은 학부모 의견도 들어가고 지역사회 의견도 들어가고 기업체의 의견도 들어가고 이렇게 될 때 학교가 열리고 학교가 평가 방식을 바꿀 수 있습니다. 그런 것들은 딱 닫혀 있으면서 ICT가 들어간다. 그야말로 그냥 들어오기는 들어오는데 작동을 잘 하지 않을 수 있으라고 봅니다. 그래서 대학이 변화를 이끌어낸 것도 결국 서구에서 기업들이 들어간 겁니다. 기업들이 들어가서 이건 아니다 이렇게 하자라는 것들이 들어왔듯이 우리 학교에서도 실제로 가서 보면 많은 변화할 거리가 있음에도 불구하고 그것들이 아직 닫혀 있기 때문에 잘 몰라서 교장이 그걸 원하지 않아. 어떠한 학교에 따라서는 굉장히 많이 열려있는 학교들이 있어요. 실제로. 그래서 교사들이 자신들이 한 수업 내용을 전부 올리고 학부모들이 그걸 전부 볼 수 있고 거기에 대한 코멘트가 바로바로 올라가고 우리도 좋은 사례 많이 있습니다. 그러니까 그런 것들을 좀 공유하는 것도 좀 필요할 것 같고요. 그래서 저는 on과 off가 공동으로 가는 건 굉장히 필요하다고 보고 그 off라는 게 바로 어떻게 말하면 정책적인 측면이 굉장히 크다고 봅니다. 예, 그거와 함께 지금 굉장히 저한테도 지금 고민되고 우리가 같이 고민했으면 좋을 것이 우리나라의 이런 평가 시스템입니다. 굉장히 정부가 좋은 제도를 많이 만들어요. 뭐 예를 들어서 자유학기제를 만든다. 학생들이 정말 자유롭게 공부를 하자. 그래서 그 결과를 하자. 그런 거 발표할 때 학부모들이 저는 들고 나서는 거 잘 봤습니다. 그렇게 하면 우리의 성적은 어떻게 되느냐. 뭐 굉장히 말들이 많더라고요. 정말 저는 타당한 또 질이라고 봤고 그것은 왜냐하면 사회구조가 그렇게 돼 있기 때문이기도 하고 그다음에 현재의 그 시스템이 우리를 위와 아래로 나누는 시스템인 것도 맞습니다. 그렇게 했는데 지금 다행인 것은 전 세계적으로 그렇게 학력이 아닌 것으로 우리를 인정하자라는 무브먼트가 굉장히 강합니다. 그래서 학교라는 formal education뿐 아니라 non-formal이라든지 informal이라든지 그 다음에 본인이 일생을 통해서 배운 결과를 정립하고 그거를 어떤 그 퀄리티를 우리들이 인정해서 그거를 다 합쳐서 그걸로 평가를 받자. 그렇다면 굳이 학교 내의 점수만을 구애받을 필요가 없게 되거든요. 그런 식으로 지금 변화를 하자는 움직임이 굉장히 많이 일고 있습니다. 그래서 이런 ICT 발달과 함께 또한 우리는 그런 ICT 발달이 현장에 정착할 수 있도록 그런 모든 제도와 연결되는 부분이 굉장히 양쪽을 촉진하는데 중요하지 않을까라고 봅니다. 예, 지금 시간이 계속 없어서요. 예, 그렇게 말하고 지금 어떤 인터컬처럴 굉장히 좋은 예 봤는데 저는 또 어떤 의미에서는 우리 학생들은 정말로 인터컬처럴 하기에 앞서서 교실 내의 소통조차가 지금 문제가 아닌가. 정말 가장 로컬한 것이 가장 글로벌하다는 말이 있습니다. 정말 자기 친구와의 소통 같은 경험을 학교에서 또한 충분히 해주는 건 역시 정말 우리가 인터컬처럴 하는 데 있어서는 가장 기본적인 베이스인데 지금 그거 자체가 없이 그냥 바로 지식으로 합쳐지는 것들이 사실은 어떻게 말하면 우리 학교 폭력이고 저는 모든 거의 근원이라고 보는데 그런 식의 소통을 많이 하게 되고 그러면 우리가 다른 나라 애들한테도 훨씬 더 열릴 수 있고 예, 그런 것들을 기대해 봅니다. 예, 제가 지금 시간에 쫓겨서 저 자신도 지금 저 뒤에를 보면서 예, 계속 쫓기고 있기 때문에 예, 여러분에게 시간을 드리기 위해서 저는 여기서 끝마치도록 하겠습니다. 예, 감사합니다.
시간에 관한 문제는 센터장님보다 좌장으로서 지금 스태프가 이 시점이 되면 제일 무서운데요. 지금 뭐 개인적으로도 궁금한 사항이 많습니다만은 지금 한 3분 정도 남은 그 이 시점에서 플로어에 계신 그 궁금하신 분의 한 질문을 한 2개 정도를 받을 수 있는 시간 정도는 될 것 같습니다. 혹시 발표하신 부분이나 토론하신 내용에 대해서 궁금하신 질의하실 분 있으시면 말씀해 주세요. 1시간 반 정도의 토론을 가지고 갑자기 교육이 확 변하거나 아니면 뭔가 실천 전략이 확 나오거나 이러진 않죠. 이러한 자리가 교육의 변화에 대한 공감을 함께 하는 것만으로도 참 의미 있는 시간인데요. 혹시 궁금하신 거 있으시면 질문 받겠습니다. 없으세요? 네.
Thank you for the great presentations. And my name is Yejin Lee, and I'm a university student, but I'm thinking of career in counseling in school, so I'm very interested in this topic. I want to ask Sir Dixon, and I want to ask about the specific examples of 12.
Excuse me, please loudly.
I've got it.
네, 한국어로 할게요.
아니,
네,
영어로 하셔도 되는데 조금 크게.
12가지
학습원리.
학습원리에 대해서 조금 더 설명을 해주실 수 있는지 구체적으로 그럴 시간은 없을까요?
예, 12가지 학습 원리가 사실은 이렇게 클러스터 분류가 되어 있는데 크게 어떻게 분류되어 있는지를 다시 한번 말씀해 주시는 거로 대답을 가름해도 될까요? 학습 원리 하나하나에 대한 설명보다는 크게 이제 원리 12가지가 갖는 어떤 큰 함축적 의미가 있을 거라고 저는 판단을 했는데요. Jurisdiction? Okay.
My best reference would be to suggest that you go to that website that I mentioned, Modern Learning Principles, and the author of the book that's about to be produced, Richard Olson, is producing some white papers as well. And probably the most practical support that you'll get from that work is from his work and the work we did at Ideas Lab, we've developed what we've called a modern learning canvas, which is a planning tool which will enable all teachers to analyse the components that they have within schools and within classrooms and then apply those principles and see what impact that'll have for learners. So I think you'd find that very, very useful. If you just go to that site, I can give you some connections afterwards if you like. If I could just make a quick comment on assessment, I take that point totally. Assessment is a key part of driving, and on today, of course, in career, it would be very significant. If you go to a site, ats21c.org, was a research site at Melbourne University supported by Microsoft, Intel and Cisco, which is about alternative 21st century assessments.
예, 정말 죄송합니다. 제가 두 분의 질문을 받겠다고 했는데 지금 30분이 돼서 몇 가지만 저희 키워드를 가지고 이야기하면서 이 세션을 마무리하죠. 교실의 벽은 깨져야 되는 게 맞죠? 예, 그거에 대한 공감과 교실의 벽을 깨기 위한 그럼 우리의 실천 전략은 무엇인가를 오늘 발표 두 분 이외에도 이제 다양한 측면에서 실천 원리를 저희가 반드시 확보를 해야 될 필요가 있고 그 안에서 정보통신 기술이 갖는 어떤 적용, 교육적 적용 가능성에 대해서는 사회의 변화나 학습자의 특성이라는 측면에서 보면 분명히 그 가능성을 확인해야 된다. 그럼에도 불구하고 그 가능성이 갖는 정보통신 기술이 갖는 역기능과 그리고 현장의 어떤 어려움 그것은 반드시 고려하면서 우리가 교육의 변화를 함께 단계적으로 소통하면서 가야 된다. 아마 이번 세션이 갖는 메시지가 이것이 아닐까라는 생각을 해봅니다. 끝까지 경청해 주시고 끝까지 세션에 참여해 주셔서 감사합니다. 예, 이것으로 세션을 마무리하겠습니다.